There is a version of you the world has never seen, a version buried beneath hesitation, fear, and years of shrinking yourself just to make others comfortable. But every now and then, something inside you stirs, a quiet voice that whispers, "You were meant for more." Not louder, not dramatic, but steady, unignorable. That voice is the real you, the confident you, the powerful you, the version of yourself that walks into any room with calm authority, not because you are trying to impress anyone, but because you finally understand your own worth. Confidence isn't about being perfect. It isn't about being fearless. It isn't about dominating others. Confidence is a deeper truth. When you know who you are, no one can decide your value for you. And the moment you stop asking for permission to be yourself, you stop blending in, and you start standing out. Today, you begin that transformation. Today, you reclaim your voice, your presence, your inner power. Today, you become the most confident person in the room. Welcome to your awakening. Chapter 1. The Hidden Psychology of Confidence. Confidence is not what most people think it is. People imagine confidence as loud, as bold, as charismatic, as something that announces itself the moment it enters the room. But real confidence, the kind that makes someone unforgettable, the kind that makes a room pause, the kind that pulls respect from others without you saying a single word, that confidence is quiet, measured, composed, controlled, and deeply internal. Real confidence begins long before you walk into the room. It begins with something most people never pay attention to, the story you believe about yourself. Every person carries a story, a narrative, an identity that was shaped by experiences, failures, successes, childhood, relationships, disappointments, expectations, and the beliefs they built from all of it. And here is the truth. You can never appear more confident on the outside than you believe yourself to be on the inside. If your inner story is weak, broken, uncertain, or full of self-doubt, no amount of posing, speaking, or pretending will compensate for it. People will feel the insecurity behind the mask, because confidence is not a performance, it's a frequency. It's an energy people sense before you even open your mouth. Think about it. You've met people who barely talk, who sit quietly, who say very little, and yet when they walk into a room, they change the energy without effort. What is that? It is not height, not beauty, not money, not clothing. It is inner alignment. The feeling of being grounded in who they are, what they believe, and what they are willing to accept from the world. This is the root of confidence, identity. Identity forms the foundation of presence, and presence is what the world feels when you enter a space. But here is the surprising thing. Most people don't struggle because they lack confidence. They struggle because they lack clarity about who they are. They walk into rooms trying to be liked, trying to be accepted, trying to impress, trying not to offend, trying to be someone they think others will approve of. And every time they do this, they hand away pieces of their power, because nothing destroys confidence faster than abandoning yourself to please others. Confidence grows when you stand in your truth, quietly, firmly, without apology. Confidence grows when you stop performing and start existing as your full self. Confidence grows when your self-worth is no longer up for negotiation. To become the most confident person in the room, you must understand this fundamental rule. People don't respect those who seek approval. People respect those who don't need it. Confidence is not built through validation. It's built through self-trust. Self-trust is born from the decisions you make, the boundaries you enforce, the promises you keep to yourself, and the identity you claim even when no one is watching. Confidence begins internally, but it expresses itself externally. Every movement, every glance, every word, every silence is shaped by the narrative you carry inside. If your inner narrative is, "I am not enough, people are better than me, I hope they like me, I don't belong here," then your body will shrink, your voice will soften, your presence will fade. But if your inner narrative is, "I belong here, my presence is valuable, I don't need validation, I trust myself, I bring something unique into every space I enter," the room will feel it before you even sit down. Confidence is not what you show, confidence is what you radiate. And you cannot radiate confidence from a core that you do not trust. So chapter 1 begins with the most important transformation, resetting the story you believe about yourself, not the one shaped by trauma, not the one handed to you by society, not the one built from past failures or mistakes, not the one taught to you by people who didn't know their own worth. To become the most confident person in the room, you must build a new internal identity, one rooted in power, clarity, and self-respect. Throughout this audiobook, you will learn exactly how to do that. But before we move forward, remember this: you don't become confident by trying to act confident. You become confident by becoming someone you trust. Confidence is the natural expression of a person who knows their value, and from this moment onward, that person is you. Chapter 2. The energy you carry. Presence speaks before you do. Before you say a word, before you take a seat, before you introduce yourself, before you even decide how confident you want to appear, the room has already made a decision about you, not because of your clothes, not because of your face, not because of your status, age, or background. The decision is made based on something far more subtle, far more powerful, and far more honest: your energy. Human beings are constantly reading each other, not through words, but through micro signals, posture shifts, tension patterns, breathing rhythms, eye behavior, and unconscious cues that reveal the truth beneath the surface. This is why some people walk into a room and immediately command respect, while others walk into the same room and disappear. Confidence doesn't start with what you say. It starts with what you radiate. And here is the part most people never understand. Presence is not an act. It's a state. Trying to act confident is like trying to fake an accent with people who speak the language fluently. They can tell instantly. But when confidence is real, when presence is authentic, when your internal state is steady and aligned, you don't need to perform confidence. You become confidence. Let's break down what this actually means. 1. People feel your presence before they see your features. Have you ever met someone who didn't look intimidating on the surface, and yet when they walked into the room, the atmosphere shifted? Maybe they were quiet. Maybe they didn't try to get attention. Maybe they didn't even look at anyone, but something about them made everyone else aware of their arrival. That is presence. Presence is the combination of your inner calm, your self-acceptance, your emotional control, your grounded nervous system, your self-respect, your internal certainty. People think confidence is loud. In reality, loudness is often a disguise for insecurity. True confidence is calm, composed, and self-contained. 2. Your nervous system dictates your presence. Your energy is not mystical. It is biological. When you walk into a room, if your heart rate is elevated, if you are overthinking, if you are worried about being judged, if your shoulders are tense, if your breath is shallow, people feel that. You don't have to say a word. Your nervous system broadcasts your internal state like a signal, and others receive it subconsciously. But when your body is relaxed, when your mind is grounded, when you are not performing, when you are simply being, you become magnetic. People trust those whose energy feels stable. People are drawn to those who are anchored. People respect those who are not controlled by their environment. This is the beginning of true presence. 3. Confidence is a silent agreement between you and yourself. Confidence is not earned through others. It is earned through self-trust, and self-trust creates a unique kind of internal stillness. This stillness becomes presence. Here is the truth. People with presence do not try to prove anything. They don't chase attention. They don't overshare. They don't talk to fill silence. They don't brag. They don't compete for approval. Their presence is rooted in one quiet belief: I am enough. When you deeply accept this, your energy becomes controlled, measured, even powerful. Others sense it. Others respond to it. Others adjust themselves around it. This is why presence is often described as dominance without aggression. You are not forcing anything. Your energy simply carries weight. 4. Your body speaks first. Your body reveals your internal world long before your words do. People with strong presence walk into a room with unhurried movement, breathe slowly and fully hold their head level, not raised or lowered, take up space without exaggeration, move with intention, not nervousness, maintain stillness. Instead of fidgeting, make eye contact calmly, not aggressively. These micro signals create a psychological effect in others. This person is in control of themselves. Therefore, they can be trusted, respected, or followed. And you do not need to be extroverted to achieve this. Some of the most confident people in the world are quiet, soft-spoken, even introverted, because presence is not volume, it is self-possession. 5. Presence is power because it cannot be faked. Anyone can pretend to be confident. Anyone can memorize body language tricks. Anyone can rehearse lines, scripts, or witty comebacks. But the nervous system never lies. You can't fake calm. You can't fake self-trust. You can't fake internal stability. You can't fake the subconscious signals of someone who knows their worth. And that is why presence separates real confidence from performance. 6. The room reads you instantly. Within the first 3 seconds of entering a space, people read your posture, your breathing, your facial tension, your stillness or restlessness, your emotional state, your sense of belonging. They don't do this consciously. The brain does it automatically for survival and social hierarchy awareness. And here is the advantage. When your presence is calm, grounded, and confident, people experience you as someone worth paying attention to. You don't need to announce anything. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to say you are confident. Your energy says it for you. 7. You can develop this kind of presence. Presence is not something you are born with. It is something you build through inner clarity, emotional discipline, self-respect, boundaries, alignment, nervous system regulation, self-trust, intentional identity, and this audiobook will take you through all of it, because once you master presence, everything else becomes easier. Conversations, social situations, relationships, leadership, influence, self-expression. Presence is the foundation. You cannot be the most confident person in the room until you learn to master the energy you carry into it. And in the next chapter, we dive into one of the biggest obstacles to confidence: social anxiety, internal overthinking, and the fear of judgment. When you understand how these operate and how to dismantle them, your presence will transform permanently. Chapter 3. Destroying social anxiety from the inside out. Social anxiety is one of the greatest enemies of confidence. It is the invisible force that makes your heart race, your palms sweat, your voice shake, and your thoughts spiral. It is the quiet panic that whispers, "Everyone is judging you. You don't belong here. You are not good enough." And the moment those thoughts take over, your body responds. Your posture collapses, your breathing tightens, your energy shrinks, your presence disappears. But here is the truth. Most people never learn. Social anxiety is not caused by people. It is caused by the story you tell yourself about what people think of you. The enemy is not the room. The enemy is the internal narrative running inside your mind. To become the most confident person in the room, you must understand and then destroy the patterns that create social anxiety. Let me show you how. The lie your mind tells you. Imagine you walk into a room filled with people. You don't know anyone. You feel small, awkward, and out of place. You start thinking, are they looking at me? Do I look nervous? What if I say something stupid? I hope they like me. I shouldn't have come here. Your mind creates a story, a false story, and your body reacts as if the story is real. But here is what's actually happening around you. Most people aren't thinking about you at all. They're thinking about themselves. They're worried about how they appear. They're wondering if they fit in. They're trying to hide their insecurities. They are inside their own heads, just like you. Social anxiety exaggerates your importance in other people's minds. Confidence corrects that illusion. A real example: a young man named Daniel once told me he hated entering meeting rooms because he always felt judged. He imagined people looking at him and noticing every detail: his clothes, his walk, his body language. One day, his mentor asked him a simple question: "Daniel, when someone else walks into the room, do you spend your time analyzing everything about them?" Daniel laughed. "Number, I barely notice. I am usually thinking about my presentation." His mentor smiled and said, "Exactly. That's what everyone else is doing too." That day, Daniel realized something powerful. People don't notice you as much as your anxiety wants you to believe. His social anxiety began to lose its power. Social anxiety comes from fear of exposure. Every person who struggles socially is fighting the same fear. If they really see me, they might not like me. Confidence comes from reversing that fear. If they really see me, it changes nothing because I already like myself. This is why confident people don't try to be perfect. They don't try to hide their flaws. They don't try to impress everyone. They accept themselves first, and the world follows. Another real example. A woman named Tessa struggled with speaking up in meetings. Whenever the manager asked for ideas, she had great ones, but fear would paralyze her. One day, a co-worker presented an idea that she had thought of earlier, and everyone praised him. Tessa realized something painful. Her silence was costing her opportunities. That night, she decided to try something different. At the next meeting, she didn't wait for the perfect moment. She didn't rehearse the perfect sentence. She simply spoke, calmly, clearly, and without apologizing for it. Her voice trembled a little. Her hands were slightly shaky, but no one cared. Her manager acknowledged her idea. Her colleagues listened. Nothing bad happened. After the meeting, one co-worker even said, "You should speak more often. You always have something valuable to say." In that moment, Tessa learned a life-changing truth. Confidence grows through action, not avoidance. Every time you avoid, anxiety wins. Every time you try, you win. The illusion of judgment. People think others are judging them, but in reality, most people are too concerned with their own lives to judge anyone deeply. Think about the last time you saw someone stumble, mispronounce a word, or appear nervous. Did you criticize them harshly, or did you forget about it 5 minutes later? Exactly. Your mind magnifies what others forget instantly. Confidence comes from shrinking the illusion of judgment down to its true size, almost nothing. Social anxiety fades when self-acceptance grows. Here is the core truth. You cannot fear the judgment of others when you have made peace with yourself. Confident people are not fearless. They simply do not attach their worth to what people think. They know this truth. Even if someone dislikes you, misunderstands you, or judges you, it does not define you. It does not limit you. It does not reduce your value. Once you internalize this, something powerful happens. Rooms feel different. People feel different. Life feels different. And confidence becomes natural, becoming someone who belongs everywhere. Let me tell you one more example. There was a man who always felt out of place at work, social events, even with friends. He believed everyone else belonged more than he did. One day, he decided to observe the most confident people around him. He watched how they entered a room, how they spoke, how they sat, how they looked at others, and he discovered something surprising. None of them behaved like they were better than anyone else. None of them acted like they were inferior either. They simply behaved like they belonged. No explanation, no justification, no performance. He decided to try the same. The next day, he entered a meeting room and said to himself quietly, "I belong here." He didn't force confidence. He didn't fake a smile. He didn't act bold. He simply removed the belief that he didn't belong. From that day on, everything changed. Because confidence is not superiority. It is not arrogance. It is not dominance. Confidence is belonging without proof. Your transformation begins here to destroy social anxiety. Remember 3 truths. People think about themselves far more than they think about you. Your worth is not determined by the reactions of others. You belong anywhere your purpose takes you. When you internalize these truths, rooms become easier, conversations become lighter, your presence becomes stronger, and the version of you that once hid in the background will begin to step forward. Because confidence doesn't start when the room accepts you. Confidence starts when you accept yourself. Chapter 4. The Power of Presence. How confident people take up space without saying a word. Confidence is not always loud. It's not always bold, dramatic, or flashy. Often, the most confident person in the room is the one who barely says anything, yet somehow commands attention effortlessly. This is the power of presence. Presence is the quiet force that makes people turn their heads when you enter a room. It's the reason some individuals are unforgettable, not because of what they said, but because of the energy they carried. And here is the truth. Presence is not a gift, it is a skill anyone can learn, including you. To build unshakable confidence, you must understand the psychology of presence and how it shapes the way people see you, trust you, and respond to you. Let's go deeper. Presence begins before you speak. There is a moment, a very small moment. When you walk into a room, and before anyone hears your voice, they've already formed an impression. Humans are wired to read your posture, your eye contact, your breathing, your pace, your emotional energy. Without a single word, you are communicating. A slouched back communicates uncertainty. Avoiding eye contact communicates discomfort. Rushed movements communicate anxiety. But confident presence communicates something different. I am here with purpose. I am comfortable in my skin. I am not seeking permission to exist. Presence is silent confidence. A real story. The man who spoke without speaking. A company once hired 2 consultants to present strategies to their board. The first consultant walked in quickly, talking before he even sat down. He was knowledgeable, energetic, eager to impress. The second consultant entered slowly, calmly, and quietly. He scanned the room with a relaxed expression, shook hands with intention, and didn't rush into speaking. He simply settled into the space and waited. Before he opened his mouth, the board members were already leaning toward him. When both presentations were over, the directors unanimously said the second consultant felt more trustworthy, more collected, more capable, even though both had similar expertise. Why? Because confidence is felt before it is heard. Presence is built on stillness, not tension. When you are nervous, your body tries to shrink away. You move too fast. You fidget, tap, adjust. Look around, shift your weight. Confidence works the opposite way. The body becomes still, movements slow down, breathing becomes deeper, eye contact becomes steady, not forced, natural. Think of people with massive presence: Denzel Washington, Michelle Obama, Keanu Reeves, Morgan Freeman. None of them rush. None of them over-explain. None of them try to impress. They let silence do the work. The most confident people don't fill space. They own it. An example: the woman who finally spoke slowly, a young woman named Tara, always felt ignored at work. Whenever she spoke, people overlooked her ideas. She assumed it was because she wasn't smart enough or bold enough. One day during a workshop, her coach told her something unexpected. You speak too fast. Slow down. Let your words land. At first, Tara didn't believe it, but she tried. In the next meeting, she paused before speaking, breathed deeply, and expressed her ideas slowly and clearly. For the first time, people listened. Her manager nodded. Her co-workers paused. Her point carried weight. What changed? Not her intelligence, not her ideas, not her personality. She changed her presence. She stopped rushing. She stopped shrinking. She allowed the room to absorb her energy instead of trying to chase their attention. Presence comes from your inner state, not your outer appearance. Most people try to look confident. They change their clothing, rehearse lines, adjust their posture in the mirror. But true presence comes from something internal, emotional stability. When you are calm inside, people feel calm around you. When you trust yourself, people instinctively trust you. When you are grounded, you become magnetic. Your presence becomes power. The psychology of taking up space. Confident people don't physically shrink. They expand, not in a dominating way, but in a grounded, steady way. They take up space by standing tall, breathing fully, speaking intentionally, owning their movements, allowing silence between words. A confident person does not apologize for existing. They do not rush to make themselves smaller. They do not beg for acceptance. They understand one thing clearly: you are either shrinking yourself or you are showing yourself. But you cannot do both at the same time. A story from a gym: a man named Khalid used to feel intimidated every time he went to the gym. Everyone looked stronger, more experienced, more confident. He would walk in with his shoulders tight and his head down, avoiding eye contact with everyone. One day, a trainer noticed and told him something simple: when you walk in, lift your chest slightly and look forward. You are not here to hide. You are here to grow. Khalid tried it the next day. Nothing dramatic, just a small physical adjustment. And everything changed. People greeted him differently. Trainers approached with respect. Strangers nodded at him. He didn't become more muscular overnight, but he became present. And presence is more powerful than appearance. Presence is felt when you don't explain yourself. One of the biggest confidence leaks is over-explaining. People without presence justify their actions. Sorry, I just wanted to say, I am not sure if this is right, but I don't know if this will make sense, but Confident people speak directly. This is what I think. This is what I suggest. This is the next step. No apology, no shrinking, no fear of being wrong. The room responds. Presence makes you memorable. Think about the last person who made a strong impression on you. It likely wasn't what they said. It was how they carried themselves. People forget words. People forget gestures. But people never forget presence. Presence is emotional gravity. It pulls others toward you. It makes you unforgettable. It makes the room adjust to you instead of you adjusting to the room. Your presence transformation starts here to become the most confident person in the room. You must shift your inner energy first. Slow your thoughts. Slow your movements. Allow silence. Claim your space. Speak with intention. Walk with purpose. Look outward, not downward. Because presence is not loudness. It is not charisma. It is not even personality. Presence is the quiet declaration. I am here, I belong, and I don't need permission to exist. Once you master presence, you won't need to announce your confidence. People will feel it the moment you walk in. Chapter 5. How to build unshakable inner confidence. Even when you feel broken inside. Every confident person you admire, every leader, every speaker, every larger than life personality began as someone unsure of themselves. Confidence is not something people are born with. Confidence is something people build. And the truth is, most confident people you see today were once the quiet ones, the awkward ones, the scared ones, the uncertain ones. Some of the strongest, most powerful, unshakably confident men and women began as people who didn't even like themselves. So if you feel like you are starting from zero, you are not behind. You are right on time, because real confidence does not come from having a perfect childhood, a perfect past, a perfect personality, or a perfect appearance. Real confidence comes from something far more powerful, the decision to build yourself, piece by piece, no matter how broken you once felt. Today, you will learn how truly confident people create themselves from the inside out. Let's begin. Confidence begins with a private decision. Long before anyone sees you as confident, something happens inside you. A moment, a shift, a realization, a quiet decision. I don't want to live afraid anymore. I am tired of doubting myself. I am tired of shrinking. I am tired of feeling unworthy. I am tired of watching others live boldly while I hold back. Every transformation begins with that decision. Confidence is not a feeling. Confidence is a commitment. A commitment to outgrow the version of you that is controlled by fear. You don't wait for courage. You create it. A story. The man who thought he was broken. There was once a man who believed he was incapable of confidence. As a child, he was always criticized. As a teenager, he felt invisible. As an adult, he avoided opportunities because he believed failure was inevitable. One day, during a work event, he watched another man, someone ordinary, someone not particularly good, looking or talented, speak with absolute confidence. It didn't make sense. How can someone like him speak so powerfully while I can barely introduce myself? He wondered. After the event, he built up the courage to ask the confident man a simple question. How are you so sure of yourself? The man smiled slightly and said, Oh, I am not sure of myself. I just decided to stop letting fear speak louder than me. It was at that moment the quiet man realized something. Life-changing confidence isn't the absence of fear. Confidence is the decision to stop obeying fear. You must become the source of your own validation. One of the biggest obstacles to confidence is dependency. Dependency on approval, validation, praise, or acceptance from others. When your confidence comes from outside, it is fragile. When your confidence comes from within, it becomes unbreakable. Think about this. If someone tells you you are brilliant, you feel confident. If someone criticizes you, you crumble. That means your confidence is borrowed, not built. Truly confident people admire compliments, but they don't depend on them. They value feedback, but they don't live for it. They listen to opinions, but they don't obey them. Their confidence comes from one source, the relationship they have with themselves. Self-trust, the foundation of all confidence. Confidence grows from one powerful seed. I trust myself. Not I trust myself to be perfect, but I trust myself to handle whatever happens. Most people lack confidence, not because they are weak, but because they have abandoned themselves emotionally. They make promises to themselves and break them. They set goals and do nothing. They avoid challenges. They let fear win. They choose comfort over growth. Slowly, their mind learns, I cannot trust myself. And without self-trust, confidence collapses. But something beautiful happens when you begin keeping your own promises, even small ones. Your mind learns, when I say I will do something, I do it. I am reliable. I show up for myself. And slowly, quietly, beautifully, you begin to feel different inside. Your posture changes. Your tone changes. Your energy changes. Your presence changes. Confidence is the natural side effect of self-trust. A real example, the woman who started with one tiny habit. A woman named Alejandra struggled with deep insecurity. She didn't trust herself to stay consistent with anything. One day, her therapist gave her a strange assignment. Every morning, drink a full glass of water as soon as you wake up. Alejandra frowned. How will that help me build confidence? Her therapist replied, because confidence grows when the mind sees evidence that you do what you say. For the first week, she forgot several times, but she kept trying. Eventually, it became effortless. A month later, she added a second habit: write one positive sentence about herself each morning. 2 months later, she joined a beginner's dance class. 3 months later, she volunteered for a work project she would normally avoid. 1 year later, she no longer recognized the woman she used to be. The secret was never the glass of water. It was the slow rebuilding of trust with herself. Confidence requires self-respect. You cannot feel confident if you tolerate things that damage your soul. When you allow people to treat you badly, when you stay in environments that shrink you, when you ignore your boundaries, when you betray your own values, your mind loses respect for you. Confidence collapses. But when you defend your boundaries, when you speak up, when you walk away from disrespect, when you honor your standards, your mind rises with you. Confidence rises with you. Self-respect is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is the moment your actions match your worth. The power of choosing yourself. One of the hardest lessons in life is understanding that confidence doesn't grow when life becomes easier. Confidence grows when you choose yourself in moments where you used to abandon yourself. When you stop waiting for permission, when you stop apologizing for existing, when you stop dimming your light to make others comfortable, when you stop shrinking to fit into places that were never meant for you. Confidence is the moment you say, I choose me, even if no one else does. And that choice changes everything. Confidence is built, not found. The world often talks about confidence as if it's something you stumble upon. But confidence is built through small, courageous moments, private decisions, quiet self-improvement, consistent habits, self-respect, emotional resilience, and the willingness to keep going even when fear whispers, stop. Confidence is not a miracle. It is a construction project. You build a little today, a little tomorrow, a little the next day, and eventually you walk into a room differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself differently. You treat yourself differently, and others treat you differently too. Your confidence transformation begins. Now you do not need to feel brave to take your first step. You only need to be willing to try, willing to grow, willing to show up, willing to trust yourself again. Confidence is already inside you. Not loud, not obvious, but waiting. It grows every time you choose to act instead of hide. Every time you choose to love yourself instead of judge yourself. Every time you choose to show up instead of step back. The journey is not fast. The journey is not easy, but it is worth everything. Because who you become on the other side is someone you never believed you could be, the most confident person in the room. Chapter 6. The Psychology of Invisible Power. Confidence is not about being the loudest voice or the most charismatic presence. True confidence is invisible power, the kind of strength people feel from you long before they understand you. Real confidence doesn't need to be announced, proven, or defended. It exists quietly, steadily, like a current beneath the surface. This chapter is about that kind of confidence, the kind that does not shout, does not chase approval, and does not need external validation to exist. It is the confidence that sits in silence without discomfort, that speaks only when necessary, that doesn't seek the spotlight, yet naturally draws attention. It is the confidence that comes from deep inner stability. Quiet confidence begins with emotional neutrality. Most people are controlled by emotional fluctuations, excitement, insecurity, doubt, pressure, fear. Their confidence rises and falls based on how their day is going, who complimented them, who criticized them, what went right, and what went wrong. But inner strength begins when you stop allowing external factors to dictate your internal state. Quiet confidence feels like a calm center in the middle of chaos. It's the ability to regulate your emotions instead of being ruled by them. It's the maturity to respond instead of react. It's the stability that comes from knowing you can withstand whatever moment you are in. When your emotions are steady, your presence becomes powerful, not forceful, powerful. Your energy speaks louder than your words. People feel who you are before they understand who you are. They read your energy before they hear your language. Your presence communicates more about you than your vocabulary ever will. Confident people move with a certain rhythm. Their breathing is steady. Their gestures are controlled. Their eye contact is grounded. Their expressions are intentional. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is forced. Nothing is anxious. This rhythm of inner stability is what makes others feel safe around you. It's what makes people listen when you speak. It's what makes you appear trustworthy without trying. Your confidence becomes a silent message. I am in control of myself, and therefore, the situation. People follow stability. People trust calmness. People are drawn to grounded energy. Control the space by controlling yourself. You don't control people. You don't control their reactions. You don't control their opinions. But you do control your focus, your breath, your pace, your attention, your tone, your energy. The person who controls themselves controls the space. When your internal world is calm, the external world cannot shake you. When your thoughts are steady, your presence becomes strong. When your emotions are stable, your decisions become clear. This is invisible power, the kind of strength no one can see, yet everyone feels. Confidence without comparison. Confidence weakens the moment you start comparing yourself to others. Comparison shifts your attention outward, toward what others have, what others are doing, what others think of you. But confidence is an inward journey. The confident person does not measure themselves against anyone. They do not need to outshine others. They do not need to compete for attention. They do not feel threatened by the success of others. Their sense of worth comes from alignment with their values, not their ranking among people. Comparison creates insecurity. Presence creates confidence. Mastering your internal narrative. Your mind tells a story about who you are, a story that shapes how you behave, how you speak, how you walk, how you interact, how you see yourself. If the story is negative, your confidence collapses. If the story is empowering, your presence expands. Quiet confidence begins when you rewrite the internal narrative from, I hope they like me, to, I trust myself. From, I don't belong here, to, I am deserving of this space. From what if I fail, to what if this is the beginning of something great. Your mind obeys the story you repeat. Confidence is the story you choose to believe. Confidence and detachment. One of the most overlooked traits of confident people is emotional detachment. Not coldness, not indifference, but freedom from needing approval. This detachment is what allows them to speak honestly, walk with clarity, and express themselves without fear of being judged. Detachment says, you can disagree with me, but I will not crumble. You can misunderstand me, but I will not explain myself endlessly. You can reject me, but I will not reject myself. When you detach from the need for validation, confidence becomes effortless. Your energy becomes lighter. Your voice becomes stronger. Your presence becomes undeniable. Quiet confidence is earned through consistency. Inner confidence comes from the life you live when no one is watching. It comes from the disciplines you keep, the promises you honor, the goals you pursue, the standards you maintain. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen your identity. Every time you follow through on something you said you would do, you build self-respect. Every time you act in alignment with your values, you reinforce your inner stability. Confidence is not a moment. Confidence is accumulated proof that you are someone you can rely on. The aura of inner strength. When you consistently show up for yourself, when you regulate your emotions, When you build inner calm, when you stop comparing and stop performing, something changes within you. Your movements slow down, your voice becomes steady, your eyes become focused, your energy becomes magnetic. This is when people say, here is something different about you. I don't know what it is, but you feel powerful. You seem like someone who has everything under control. That something is quiet confidence, the aura of a person who trusts themselves deeply. This is the type of confidence that does not fade, does not break, and does not depend on the world's approval. This is the confidence that makes you the most compelling person in any room. Chapter 7. Speaking with certain. Confidence is not just something you feel. It is something people hear the moment you speak. Your voice carries information beyond words. It reveals your emotional state, your self-belief, your inner stability, your sense of worth. People can sense hesitation before they understand your message. They can feel insecurity, even when your words are perfectly chosen. This is why two people can say the exact same sentence, yet one is ignored and the other is remembered. Presence shapes confidence, but your voice delivers it. Speaking with certainty is not about volume, dominance, or force. It is about owning your words with clarity, calmness, and intention. It is the art of allowing your inner strength to appear in your tone. Let's explore how. Your voice reveals your identity before people decide whether to trust you, whether to listen to you, whether to respect you. They listen to the tone beneath your words. A shaky voice signals doubt. A rushed voice signals anxiety. A whispery voice signals fear. A tense voice signals self-judgment. A forced voice signals insecurity. But a steady voice, not loud, not aggressive, just steady, signals something rare. A person who is sure of themselves. People naturally follow that kind of voice. Not because it demands attention, but because it carries truth. Speaking slowly creates authority. Insecurity rushes. Confidence breathes. When you speak too quickly, your words lose gravity. Your message becomes lighter than your fear. Rapid speech reveals uncertainty, and people sense it immediately. But when you allow yourself to speak slowly, your words have time to take shape. Your thoughts have time to find clarity. Your presence has time to settle into the room. Slowing down is not weakness. It is presence. It is the quiet sign of someone who is not afraid of being heard. Silence between words is a power move. Most people fear silence. They rush to fill it. They panic when it appears. They assume silence makes them look unsure. But confident people embrace silence. They allow pauses. They let their words breathe. Silence, when used intentionally, is not emptiness. It is emphasis. It is space that carries meaning. It is a demonstration of emotional control. People who are calm enough to pause are people who command attention without effort. Certainty comes from alignment, not performance. Unconfident people speak with the hope of being approved. Confident people speak with the intention of being understood. One performs, the other communicates. The more you try to impress people, the weaker your voice becomes. The more you try to sound confident, the less confident you appear. But when your words come from a place of inner alignment, from your values, your truth, your clarity, your voice naturally carries certainty. Confidence is not in the performance of speech. It is in the authenticity of it. Your breath is the foundation of your voice. A tense breath creates a tense voice. A shallow breath creates a shallow presence. A nervous breath creates nervous energy. But when you breathe deeply before you speak, your tone stabilizes. Your thoughts slow down. Your message becomes clearer. People don't consciously think about your breathing, but they feel the effect of it. A grounded breath creates a grounded voice, and a grounded voice creates grounded confidence. Intention is everything. Before confident people speak, they take a moment, even a fraction of a second, to align their intention. They don't speak to please. They don't speak to impress. They don't speak to prove anything. They speak to deliver clarity. When your intention is pure and simple, your voice becomes focused. Your message becomes precise. Your energy becomes magnetic. You don't have to force confidence. Your intention creates it for you. Emotional stability shapes vocal strength. Your voice mirrors your internal world. If your mind is chaotic, your speech becomes chaotic. If your emotions are unstable, your tone becomes unstable. But when you cultivate emotional equilibrium, when you learn to regulate your reactions, when you stop taking things personally, when you maintain your inner calm, your voice becomes balanced, steady, unmoving. It reflects a self-assuredness that people feel immediately. Confidence is not loudness. Confidence is emotional control expressed through sound. Your voice is a habit, not a trait. No one is born with a confident voice. People develop it through repetition, through awareness, through choice. Every time you speak with intention, you train your voice. Every time you slow down, you reinforce authority. Every time you hold space with silence instead of fear, you strengthen your presence. Your voice evolves as you do, and as your inner world grows stronger, your outer voice naturally follows. Confidence leaves an echo. The most confident people speak in a way that stays with you, not because their words are complex, not because they are charismatic performers, but because their voice carries authenticity and internal truth. They speak from a place that is steady, from a mind that is clear, from a heart that is certain, and when they finish speaking, their presence remains. People remember how someone made them feel long after they forget what was said. Speaking with certainty is not just communication. It is influence. It is presence. It is power. And it is one of the core foundations of becoming the most confident person in the room. Chapter 8. The Hidden Power of Boundaries. How confident people protect their energy. Confidence is not only about how you speak, how you carry yourself, or how you enter a room. Confidence is also about what you allow and what you refuse to allow into your life. Your boundaries are the invisible lines that separate who you are from what the world wants you to be. People with low confidence have weak boundaries. They tolerate too much. They say yes when they want to say no. They absorb other people's moods, problems, expectations, and insecurities. They exhaust themselves trying to keep the peace. But confident people move differently. They understand that protecting their energy is not selfish. It is necessary. Your confidence cannot grow in environments that drain you, disrespect you, or diminish you. Your confidence needs space, protection, and clarity to strengthen. This is where boundaries come in. Boundaries are not walls. They are not defenses. They are not barriers. Boundaries are agreements you make with yourself about how you will be treated, spoken to, valued, and respected. They are the rules that protect your emotional world. Weak boundaries create weak confidence. Whenever you say yes out of guilt, whenever you let someone push you further than you want to go, whenever you silence your needs to avoid discomfort, whenever you stay in situations that diminish you, your self-respect erodes, and with it, your confidence. Every time you betray yourself to please others, your mind quietly learns a damaging message. My needs don't matter. My feelings don't matter. My worth is flexible. Confidence cannot survive in a mind that believes those things. Strong boundaries create strong identity. Confident people set boundaries effortlessly because they understand who they are and what they stand for. They don't need to shout their boundaries. They don't need to justify them. They don't need to apologize for them. Their identity is clear, and their boundaries reflect that clarity. When you create boundaries, you are not pushing people away. You are protecting the version of you that you are becoming. Every strong boundary says, I respect myself enough to protect my peace. I value myself enough to walk away from disrespect. I trust myself enough to enforce what matters. Confidence grows in that kind of environment, an environment of self-honoring choices. The energy you allow shapes the person you become. Your environment is constantly shaping you. The people around you, the behavior you tolerate, the conversations you allow, the energy you permit into your space, all influence your internal world. Confident people are selective about these things. They do not allow toxic energy to live in their mind. They do not let draining conversations pull them away from purpose. They do not spend emotional currency on people who offer nothing in return. They choose growth over chaos, value over noise, peace over drama, self-respect over approval. Your life changes the moment you stop negotiating with energies that shrink you. Saying no is a confidence exercise. Many people struggle with the word no. They fear disappointing others, losing connection, or appearing rude. But confident people understand a powerful truth. Every yes you give away takes time, energy, and emotional space from yourself. When you say yes to everything, you respect nothing. Not your time, not your values, not your energy. But when you learn to say no with clarity, calmness, and certainty, you are telling the world, my life has direction, my time has value, my energy is not limitless, and I am not available for everything. Saying no is not rejection. It is self-preservation. It is choosing yourself without guilt. It is honoring your inner world. It is the foundation of emotional strength. Boundaries are a silent form of power. Confident people don't need to argue, defend, fight, or explain endlessly. Their boundaries speak for them. When someone crosses a line, confident people don't explode, they simply withdraw. When someone is disrespectful, they don't debate, they disconnect. When someone manipulates, they don't engage, they step back. Power is not in force, it is in control. And boundaries are one of the greatest tools of controlled power. They create emotional stability, they create self-respect, they create clarity. And clarity is the foundation of confidence, the boundary that changes everything. There is one boundary that confident people set above all others, the boundary between who they are and who others want them to be. Confident people don't shape themselves to fit expectations. They don't morph into versions of themselves to gain approval. They don't twist their personality to avoid rejection. They remain authentically aligned with themselves, and because of that, they become magnetic. People trust them, follow them, seek their presence, not because they are perfect, but because they are whole. Boundaries protect your wholeness. They guard your identity. They secure your sense of self. And when your sense of self is solid, you become unshakable. Your confidence grows when you protect your peace. Every time you honor your boundaries, you tell yourself, I am worth protecting. Every time you walk away from something that disrespects you, you affirm, I deserve better. Every time you choose your peace over chaos, you reinforce, I value myself. These affirmations don't need to be spoken. They are communicated through action, and your mind listens to those actions. Your confidence grows through every act of self-respect. When you protect your energy, your identity strengthens. When your identity strengthens, your confidence stabilizes. When your confidence stabilizes, your presence transforms. This is how boundaries create the most powerful version of you, the version that stands grounded, centered, and undeniably confident in any room. Chapter 9. Confidence is not built in the absence of emotion. It is built in the mastery of emotion. The world often teaches people to be confident, but it rarely teaches them the emotional discipline required to stay confident when pressure rises, when fear appears, when discomfort grows, when someone challenges you, or when life becomes unpredictable. True confidence does not come from feeling good all the time. It comes from knowing you can remain steady even when you don't. Emotional control is not suppression. It is not pretending everything is fine. It is not hiding what you feel. Emotional control is the ability to hold your internal world with strength and clarity, so your external world does not collapse with every shift in circumstance. Let's explore the psychology behind that strength. Your emotions are messengers, not masters. People with low confidence allow their emotions to dictate their behavior. If they feel anxious, they avoid. If they feel insecure, they shrink. If they feel doubt, they stop. If they feel anger, they explode. If they feel overwhelmed, they retreat. Emotions rise, and they obey. Confident people experience the same emotions, but respond to them differently. They do not let emotions seize control. They do not allow temporary feelings to sabotage long-term goals. They observe their emotional state without being consumed by it. Their mind leads their emotions, not the other way around. When you stop obeying your emotions, you stop being controlled by them. Emotional control begins with awareness. You cannot control what you cannot see. Most people move through life on autopilot, reacting instead of choosing, responding instinctively instead of intentionally. They feel an emotion and assume that emotion is truth. They feel discomfort and assume something is wrong. They feel doubt and assume they are unworthy. They feel fear and assume they should retreat. Awareness breaks this cycle. When you pause long enough to notice what you feel, you create space between the emotion and the reaction. In that space is clarity. In that space is choice. In that space is power. This is where confidence begins, in the ability to observe your internal landscape without immediately surrendering to it. The calm mind makes strong decisions. Under pressure, The untrained mind becomes chaotic. It jumps between worst-case scenarios, old fears, imagined failures, and past wounds. It becomes loud, unstable, reactive. The confident mind becomes still. When emotions rise, they breathe deeper. When uncertainty appears, they slow down. When conflict arises, they ground themselves. When fear whispers, they listen without obeying. This mental stillness is not accidental, it is practiced. The calm mind is confident because it is not easily manipulated by emotion. Emotional control is an identity, not a technique. Many people look for tricks to stay calm: breathing exercises, posture adjustments, mental reframes. These techniques help, but true emotional control comes from a deeper place: your identity. When you see yourself as someone who panics, you panic. When you see yourself as someone who collapses under pressure, you collapse. When you see yourself as someone who is easily overwhelmed, you become overwhelmed. But when you shift your identity to, I am someone who stays composed, I am someone who can handle discomfort, I am someone who thinks clearly under pressure, your emotional world begins to reorganize around that belief. The mind aligns with the identity you choose. Emotional control is not a trick, it is a transformation. Confident people do not react, they respond. Reactions are fast, impulsive, emotional. They are driven by fear, insecurity, or old patterns. Responses are intentional, grounded, deliberate. They come from clarity, not emotion. The moment you shift from reacting to responding, your entire life changes. You communicate differently, you lead differently, you navigate conflict differently, you carry yourself differently. The room feels your stability and responds to it. People trust the person who does not react impulsively. People respect the person who maintains composure. People follow the person who stays grounded when others lose control. This is where confidence becomes influence. Emotional mastery leads to mental freedom. Imagine waking up without the constant fear of embarrassment. Imagine speaking without the fear of judgment. Imagine entering a room without the fear of being misunderstood. Imagine pursuing your goals without the fear of failure. Emotional control frees you from internal prisons. When you no longer obey fear, your world expands. When you no longer obey insecurity, your possibilities increase. When you no longer obey doubt, your confidence rises. When you no longer obey emotional triggers, you become unshakable. Freedom does not begin outside, it begins inside. Your confidence becomes unshakable when your emotions become manageable. You cannot control the world. You cannot control people. You cannot control circumstances. But you can control how you interpret, how you think, how you breathe, how you respond. And when your inner world becomes steady, the external world loses its power to intimidate you. This is the quiet strength of confident people. This is the unbreakable foundation behind presence. This is the psychological core of becoming the most confident person in the room. Confidence built on emotion will crumble. Confidence built on emotional control will endure. Chapter 10. Becoming the most confident person in the room. Becoming the most confident person in the room is not about being the loudest, the boldest, or the most charismatic. It is not about having the perfect body, the perfect vocabulary, or the perfect life. It is not about outperforming everyone or collecting applause. Real confidence is much quieter, much deeper, much more internal. It is the presence of a person who knows who they are and who no longer seeks permission to be that person. Confidence is not a performance. Confidence is alignment. It is the harmony between your thoughts, your identity, your emotions, and your actions. And when that alignment exists within you, the room feels it immediately. Let's bring everything together: the psychology, the inner work, the emotional mastery, and shape the transformation that makes you the most confident person in any space you enter. Confidence begins when you stop being at war with yourself. Most people live in internal conflict. They want to speak, but fear holds them back. They want to pursue opportunities, but doubt stops them. They want to stand tall, but insecurity pulls them down. They want to grow, but their past keeps whispering limitations. Confidence is born the moment you stop fighting yourself. When you stop believing that your worth depends on how perfectly you perform. When you stop expecting yourself to never make mistakes. when you stop apologizing for being human, when you stop judging yourself for every flaw you carry, you cannot be confident while being your own enemy. Confidence requires internal peace, the peace that comes from accepting yourself fully and choosing to rise anyway. Confidence is the natural expression of self-respect. You cannot shrink your way into confidence. You cannot please your way into confidence. You cannot beg for approval and expect confidence to follow. Confidence grows when you treat yourself like someone worthy of respect, when you speak your truth, even if your voice shakes, when you honor your boundaries even when people resist, when you choose your standards, even when others don't understand, when you stop abandoning yourself for the comfort of others. Respecting yourself is not arrogance. It is alignment with your identity. The more you respect yourself, the more others respect you. The more you honor yourself, the more natural confidence becomes. Confidence is stability, not certainty. People often think confidence means knowing everything, never doubting yourself, never hesitating. But confident people doubt themselves too. They question things too. They feel fear too. The difference is how they relate to that fear. They do not collapse because of uncertainty. They do not retreat because they lack guarantees. They do not require perfect conditions to begin. Confident people move forward without certainty because they trust themselves, not the circumstances. Their stability does not come from the environment. It comes from within. When you stop needing guarantees, confidence becomes effortless. Your energy enters the room before you do. Confidence is communicated before you speak a single word. It appears in the way you walk, calm, intentional, grounded. It appears in the way you stand, tall, open, relaxed. It appears in your eyes, steady, aware, unafraid. It appears in your breath, deep, slow, controlled. It appears in your silence, spacious, comfortable, powerful. People will not remember every word you say, but they will remember how you made them feel. And the energy of confidence is unmistakable. It says, I do not need approval to exist. I trust myself. I am enough as I am. This energy is what transforms you into the anchor of any room. You stop seeking permission and start owning your space. Most people enter a room hoping to be accepted, hoping not to be judged, hoping to blend in, hoping not to be noticed. Confident people enter with a different intention. They do not ask themselves, will they like me? They ask, is this a room I want to be in? Is this aligned with who I am becoming? Does this space serve my purpose? They do not shrink to become acceptable. They expand into who they truly are. Owning your space does not mean domination. It means authenticity without apology. When you drop the performance and live in truth, confidence becomes your natural state. Confidence is emotional independence. One of the greatest transformations in becoming the most confident person in the room is learning emotional independence. It is the ability to remain grounded when others are chaotic, to remain centered when others are reactive, to remain steady when others are judgmental, to remain focused when others are distracting. You stop absorbing other people's moods. You stop internalizing other people's opinions. You stop tying your self-worth to external approval. You become emotionally self-sufficient. And emotional independence is the purest form of confidence. Confidence is simply being yourself, fully, clearly, calmly. The world teaches people to become confident by becoming someone else, more extroverted, more charismatic, more dominant, more impressive. But the deepest confidence comes from something much simpler: being yourself with clarity, being yourself without hesitation, being yourself without apology, being yourself without shrinking. Confidence is the removal of everything that is not you: the doubt, the fear, the expectations of others, the self-judgment. What remains is authenticity, and authenticity is rare, magnetic, and unforgettable. Your transformation is already in motion. You don't become the most confident person in the room in a single moment. You become that person through the decisions you make when no one is watching, the boundaries you enforce, the emotions you regulate, the thoughts you choose, the identity you anchor, the presence you cultivate. Confidence is not a mask you put on. Confidence is who you become when you stop living small. Every chapter you've heard, every shift you've made, every moment you chose yourself has been building towards something powerful, a version of you that is grounded, steady, aware, and undeniably confident, a version of you that no longer hides, A version of you that no longer second guesses. A version of you that knows how to walk into any room and be the anchor. This is the person you were always capable of becoming. And now, you are becoming them. Take a moment and breathe. Let everything you've heard settle into the core of who you are. Because confidence is not something you chase. It is something you become. Every time you honor your boundaries, you grow. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you rise. Every time you trust yourself, you transform. You are no longer walking into rooms hoping to be accepted. You are walking into rooms knowing you belong. Carry this energy with you. Let it shape your voice, your choices, your identity. Let it remind you that confidence isn't loud. Confidence is certainty. And that certainty now lives in you. Thank you for listening. If this audiobook brought you value, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs this message. Your support helps us continue creating powerful audiobooks that elevate your mind, your confidence, and your life. Until next time, stay grounded, stay focused, and stay unshakably you.